As they move towards ending the political turmoil, social and cultural disputes among the people of South Sudan continues, the high-level delegation of the Steering Committee of the National Dialogue held meeting with the Deputy President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, in Johannesburg and discussed crucial matters of concern for the stability of South Sudan. Speaking to the media after the meeting, Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa said his government will continue to support the peace effort in South Sudan through the national dialogue process. Ramaphosa added that they would engage in talks with the opposition leader, Dr. Riek Machar, to accept to be part and parcel of the national dialogue process.
The South African government has always been very supportive of the resolution of the problems of South Sudan through dialogue, through consensus building, and through people being able to sit down and talk about the future of the country. So we remain very, very supportive of that process. And we're very, very pleased to have met the steering committee of this dialogue. We believe this is the correct thing to do, the right direction to take by the people of South Sudan. And we really applaud the initiative of President Salva Kiir in setting this process in motion. We ourselves as South Africa resolved our intractable problems through dialogue. We were able to sit down with our enemies, enemies that had done terrible things to the people of our country, oppressed them, exploited them, and killed them, sent them into exile and sent them to jail. And still, Nelson Mandela came out of prison after 27 years and sat down with them and engaged in an effective, transparent, and dialogue process that had integrity. So we see this as a similar type of process where the people of South Sudan should be able to sit down and talk about the future of their country and their problems, and they themselves should find solutions, and the solutions should not be imposed on them. So we're very pleased we received a briefing, and we give this process a very, very best and solid support. Well, we support inclusivity. For any dialogue to be meaningful and to yield the best results for the country, it's got to be inclusive. So we call on everyone, Riek Machar and Salva Kiir and everyone else, to be part of this dialogue process without exception and without conditions. We cannot be setting out conditions when it comes to the future of the country.
The co-chair of the steering committee, Angelo Beda, said the committee is committed to ensure that the dialogue is inclusive and transparent.
Our talk with the authority in this meeting has been so positive, and that they've promised us how they started in the same way. South Africa, he said, started with the same way, dialogue, and it was successful to plan the future of the country. And so they think that this thing, and they will look forward to see that we succeed in the same way. As to Riek Machar, they said they will work. He's somebody who goes up and down in his thought, but there will be a time when we are proceeding at a certain stage of our progress, he may like, and that is the time we can meet him. I think that is all. I don't think we are remaining with a very big hope, and we are going to tell people at home what the South African have told us, and we shall continue to engage the structure of African Union and IGAD, which is the organization, political organization near us, in our neighbor, in order to move forward with our national dialogue.
The two deputy rapporteurs, Betty Achan and Dr. Francis Mading, affirmed the stand of the steering committee to work hand in hand with all the stakeholders to ensure that peace returns to South Sudan.
The most important is now to come to the national dialogue where everybody from the grassroots up to the top level, including the President Salva himself, should also be a part of the dialogue. because the country needs to come out with the solutions which they will own, and then they also implement the solutions which they own. The reason why at this moment we are very happy, even when we haven't met Dr. Riak, is that our initial coming here this time is just to meet the deputy president and see the possibility of organizing a meeting with Dr. Riak, which they promised that they will mediate and organize the meeting. So our next coming would then be possible that we can meet Dr. Riak. This is a process. It is not a one time and a cut-off time.
Well, I think it would be wrong to see it as though this is a decisive point of difference with Riak, or that Riak has rejected, because his correspondence with us has always been somewhat divided. He said that he welcomes national dialogue as a very important process for people of South Sudan to engage in, but then he goes on to say, but I give priority. For me now, I put my efforts into a mediated solution that will end the conflict and stop the bloodshed. Well, these are ideas that we agree with. So basically, you could say that what he's saying is not in conflict with what we're doing. On the contrary, he's in agreement, but he's saying that he wants to put his efforts into ending the conflict. All power to him. If his efforts can end the conflict immediately, obviously that's what we are all about. The other thing is not to see what he's looking for, mediated solution, and the national dialogue, as contradictory. They are not opposed. On the contrary, we are inviting a number of countries, including neighbors and African countries, to participate in the national dialogue.
The high-level delegation of a steering committee of the National Dialogue remain optimistic while maintaining their strong hope that all the opposition and the government would be reached and consulted to find lasting peace in South Sudan. Gore Anthony, SSBC News, Johannesburg, South Africa.